Hey guys, this is Edwin here, and we're going to be running through another video, and this video is on the introduction to the distance formula. So we're going to start with things that we already know. For example, the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We all already know that when we're talking about finding the distance between 2 points. So why don't we start with what we already know? So why don't we just finish creating the triangle here, and you guys should do a better triangle than what I'm doing right now. But don't forget to label these so you don't forget which side is which. So we have a squared plus b squared equals our c squared, which we have our simple formula right here. Now, what we would want to do next is just find the points. For example, this one, we have -3, -4. And then this other point right here would be -2, -4. And then finally, the third point that we have here is 2, 4. There we go. Okay, now what we would want to do now is just find the distance between here and here, which is just 5, right? Now we do the same again for this side, and this is stuff that you guys already know. So the distance from here to here would be 8, right? Now if you punch this in your calculator, that essentially should give us 89 equals our c squared. And obviously you guys know to get c by itself, we square root both sides, and our c essentially ends up being 9.83. Now why don't we run through another example? So we don't really need the grid lines like before. You know, all we really need is just the two distance points that we have. Why? Because essentially we can just end up creating our own triangle like you guys see here, and all we would really need to do is just find this other point, this one right here. Alright, there we go, this point right here. So the point on this data point would be 9, 4, right? And then we would just do the same exact thing that we did earlier. This is our a squared, this is our b squared, and this is our c squared. So we just find the distance from here to here, which is 7, and the distance from here to here, which is 3. So if you guys punch this in the calculator, again, this should give us 58, right? And then to find the distance between those, so you just find the square root of 58, which is just 7.62, and let's round it up. Now, why don't we try one more to find the distance between the two bullet points? So this point right here, we want to track it down as well, and that ends up being 10.5, right? So essentially do the same thing again. A squared, b squared, and c squared, and you guys find the distance between here, which is 8, and then find the distance between these two, which is 7. And if you guys punch this in the calculator, it should give us 113. And you guys just square root it to get the distance between them, and that is 10.63. So, and that's essentially where our distance formula actually comes in. It's nothing a little bit new or different. Is just where the distance formula just really comes in place. And what do I mean by that? Well, remember when we have our two distance points right here, we have x1, y1, and then x2, y2. Well, we just end up creating the triangle here. And if we just take one step back and just go back to the basics, this would be our a squared, right? This is our b squared, and these two, the sum of these two is equal to our c squared. Now in the previous problems, what we were just doing was finding the distance between these 2 points, which was just x2 minus x1. And for here, we were doing the same exact thing, just finding the distance between these 2 points, which really just was y2 minus y1. And then if we square both of these two, the sum of these two actually ends up becoming our distance formula. So we just run down through 2 quick examples. Things should make a little bit of sense on where the actual distance formula comes in, and everything else is just a simple plug and chug. So we would just label our points until you guys get the hang of it and don't get confused, because sometimes it gets confusing with the points, and sometimes I get them confused as well. So we can label them in the beginning, but afterwards you guys would want to become pretty good without labeling these. So we graph our distance formula. Wow. Let me get my eraser because I wrote that a little too big. Okay. Let's try this again. Alright, there we go. Now this is our distance formula, right? So essentially we just grab the numbers that we have, right? So x2 minus x1, which we have here. x2 minus our x1 plus our difference between the y's, which is y2 and y1, and if you guys put this in the calculator, it should give us square root of 58. And then if we just find the final answer, we could just round up to the 2 decimal points like usual. That'll give us 2.62. So then we can do one more, and for practice, try not to write the distance formula first. Try to actually just memorize it, because sometimes writing the distance formula becomes a little too hectic when you have a lot to solve, and it'll be easier once you guys already have the hang of it. So we'll just do the same exact thing. Wow, that's an X. Except we will not write the distance formula. But remember, again, first is the distance between our 2 x's, which we have here. There we go. And don't get confused with here, because sometimes it's easy just to run through these and make a simple mistake as to put a negative or a positive sign. And then you just want to grab the other 2, which is just the difference between the 2 y's, right? There we go. Alright. And if you guys just put this in the calculator, it should give us square root of 265. And you know, you guys can just simplify it to 2 decimal points, and that should give us 16.28. So that's the simple distance formula, and these are 2 practice problems you guys can do for your journal assignment. And with that, over and out.